Hi guys, so we're in Sedona. Actually, no, we're not in Sedona. Just kidding, I'm at Ballarat Black Hill. This area behind me is a very small area of Black Hill. And over the last 6 months, this is where I spent probably most of my time riding this bike. Whoa! That was good! If you've seen my very first review on this bike, you'll understand why I bought it. And you might be thinking, yeah, Jem, I know, I did see it. So, how is the bike? Well, before we get there, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and leave a comment. So, let's get into it. On this video, you will see if this bike met my expectations. Did I meet the bike's expectation? What issues did I have? You'll see some mods I carried out. Did I get my money's worth? And finally, at the end of the video, I'll tell you guys what surprised me with this bike. I don't know why I bought this bike really. Why did I buy it? I don't know. Where's the matches? Where's the matches? That's my bike. Bring it back. Bring my bike back. Hey, you. I was kidding. I really like my bike. Hi guys. So yep, it's been 6 months since I've had this bike, and I'm getting quite a few people asking how's my bike going and wanting to actually see more content on the bike. So here it is. Expectations for this bike were to have something more enduro and be able to do more features and stuff I could not do on the XC bike. So here I am with this thing. So 6 months on it has made me feel like a better rider, more confident rider, and we've got more dogs coming here barking and come on. Hello. Hi. How are you? This is farm life on my sister's property. Ralph, come on. So on tracks like the Sluice, which I sessioned, check that video. I really like that video. If you haven't seen it, it's fun. And that track I did quite a few times and really got the feel of this bike, like it was made for that track. It's such a fun track. It is a bit gnarly, that track, so be careful on that track if you don't know it. So one thing with this bike that scares me a little bit is I have no excuse anymore. I used to come up to obstacles on my other bike, on my XC bike, and say, if only I had a more capable bike. Well, now I've got that, and I don't have the excuse anymore. And I have been able to do features that I hadn't done before, but I'm still getting there with other features. I've never been big on jumping. I consider myself a pretty good rider. I raced cross country for a long time, and I did do some downhill stuff. Not a lot, but jumping is not my strong point, and this has helped me a little. Well, actually helped me a lot. I think my technique's okay. It's more confidence and fear that holds me back from doing the bigger jumps. Send it. Whoa! That was good. I manualed it a little bit. I do enjoy getting some air, but I'm a little afraid of heights. Okay, have I had any issues? Well, not really. All bikes, after riding for a while, you know, the gears will get a bit clunky and the cables need adjusting. I've had a couple of things. The rear derailleur came loose, and also the chain guard here I noticed came loose, and that was after doing the Sluice. So you expect things to come loose. You've got to maintain your bike. That's the first time my chain's ever come off on this bike, and thankfully for SRAM you can put that there and lock it and just pick it up. Okay, it's not that easy. Does Shimano have this lockout thing? Oh my god, everything's coming loose. Derailleur's loose. This is loose. The performance of the front shocks, the rear shock, I can't fault it. Like, it feels amazing to me. I haven't ridden a top spec bike, so I can't really compare, but it definitely hasn't disappointed me. One thing I really like about this bike is the through axle comes with a T30, just pops off the end, and that T30 fits all your suspension mounts and bushings, whatever you want to call them. Can't think of the name right now. Doesn't fit the headstand, but that's okay. But I just think that's a really nice little touch for something that's at low range, and they've included that. Just pops in there, back in there like that. Another little issue I had was the headset. I kept having to adjust it, and I did see online that quite a few people were putting new headsets and complaining about them coming loose and so on. Mine came loose, I think around 3 times I've had to adjust it up, and that was when it was, you know, within the first month of owning it. Since that, the last time I've adjusted, I haven't had to wave it, so it's obviously taken a while to set it in. The bearings have settled in and so on, so it feels good now. Coming from a cross-country background and racing cross-country for many years, weight was always a bother to me. I always had a high-spec cross-country bike, and it did concern me, this being a big, heavy bike, even though the style of what it is, you expect it to be heavy. And so I really didn't know what that was going to feel like, having a nearly 15 kilo bike, or a 15 kilo bike. And I went through all the components online and tried to get the weight of everything and work out how to get this weight down. One big thing was the rear cluster. I was so surprised how heavy it was. It's an SX cluster, and it was, I think, 700 grams. I'll put it on the screen. So I got a Sun Tour cluster, 51 teeth, which is one tooth bigger than the other one, so it gives you a lower, higher gearing. In granny gear, it's easy to climb up hills. That's probably the easiest way for me to explain it. The bigger gear, and that has worked well. So if you're looking at buying a bike like this, I'm definitely not disappointed. I'm very happy with it. It's been amazing, really happy. There's a few mods, as I mentioned, that I'd like to do. There's also a couple still that I'm thinking of doing, and I've looked up the weight of the cranks, and they're quite heavy, so I can lose a fair bit there and get the bike down even more. If money was no problem, I'd be seeing how light you could get an alloy bike. I'd really like to do that. I think that'd be really interesting, to have a lightweight alloy bike next to a carbon bike and compare it. The only real letdown, I wouldn't even say a letdown, I wouldn't even say it's a letdown, it is not on the weighty side, but the weight compared to a carbon bike is quite a bit, you know, a couple of kilos different, so there is a bit of weight difference with the carbon bikes. One guy mentioned on my comments, and I haven't answered you yet, I don't think, but he was talking about with the seat post adjustment. The lever itself seems to hold the grip on, so you can't just put other grips on there, so you'd have to swap for another lever, I guess. It's one thing I haven't looked at. I guess that's a bit of a disappointment, but it's a cool way to hold the grip on. The tyres, been fantastic. I really like the front tyre. The rear tyre is not quite as chunky as the front tyre. A bit more grip in the rear would be good, and being so close to the frame, I wonder if you could fit a slightly smaller tyre with more grip. It would feel better. I don't know. When I bought the bike, wrapping was sort of a thing to do. Being an alloy bike, I wasn't too concerned, but there's some components on it which, if you're buying this bike, I recommend you do it too. And one is the chainstay, but not on the chain side, on the other side. I've scratched that quite a bit, and the gap between the wheel and the frame on the rear is quite tight. That took a bit of paint off, but because of the decal underneath, which you can't see at all, I didn't want to put some wrap over that, because I thought if I had to pull it off, it's going to pull the decal off, so I've just left that. Okay, so another mod I did to it, apart from the rear cluster, was I just put my road bike seat on there, which I actually don't know if it's classed as a road bike seat. It's a Sailor gel flow seat, which just fits me well. And that was also another way of saving a bit of weight. So value of the bike is exceptional, really. I was concerned buying a lower spec bike, and I did have one person say to me, why didn't you just buy the carbon bike? What have you bought that piece of for? I was really surprised. It was in a private comment, so you couldn't see it. And I was like, come on, man, not everyone can afford a carbon bike. That's the reason I didn't buy a carbon bike. I couldn't afford it. So I got what I could, and I took a punt, and it's been fantastic. So what surprised me about this bike? Well, its capability. I didn't expect to be doing cross-country rides on this bike. I was going to put this bike aside and ride my XC bike on all the cross-country tracks around my hometown in Ballarat and Creswick. And I quickly discovered I didn't have to. This bike is unreal. It's not too bad uphill, it's actually pretty good. I have so much more fun on this bike. I don't get as tired as I thought I would having a heavier bike, and I can't see any real reason why I want to ride my cross-country bike anymore. So thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Give us a thumbs up, and yeah, give us a comment, and I'll catch you next ride. What's it called? The rear blah, 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 blah. One thing I really like about this bike is it came with a little torque. Okay, let's start again. One thing I really like about this bike is a little thing like this. It's a T30, and it comes out of your rear. What the fuck? I can't remember the name. Can you hear that?